You have questions? America's #1 business coach has answers. It's your Broda from Minnesota. Here's another edition of Ask Clay Anything on the Thrive Time Business Coach Radio Show.
Yes. Dr. Z, I'm excited for today's show.
I love it when you're excited. There's a few times we get topics or questions or little things going on, or you've researched something, or something's caught you a buzz, and you just have kind of this new kind of fun energy. And I like it when you're that way.
There's a Matthew Slater show we will be doing soon here that you're going to love. It's about how can a man be a 7-time Pro Bowl football player at the wide receiver position, and how can he be the captain of the New England Patriots, and his position is listed as that of receiver, and yet he has caught one pass throughout the entirety of his career. That is going to be an exciting show.
Yeah, I can hardly wait.
I'm excited. Now, today's show, I'll tell you what has me excited. We have Josh with Living Water Irrigation in the box here, in the booth, in the man cave, a guy that I've had the privilege of personally mentoring and working with each week for a long, long time. And he has some questions. And we have thrivers all across the country that have questions. So I'm going to start first.
Well, first of all, I got to get a big shout out to Josh.
Yeah.
I had a little emergency irrigation system at one of my buildings. And I say emergency because I like it done immediately.
Right.
And so I called Josh, and his team came out and worked over a weekend, if I'm not mistaken, and knocked that sucker out. I mean, you guys... And he told me about how much it's going to cost and why this would be, instead of fixing this, it would be just, less expensive to replace this and that and this. And he did a great job.
When you say irrigation emergency, were you installing a black toilet into your man cave as I have done?
No, that's a DEFCON 4. I'm more DEFCON 3.
Okay, not that serious.
I had plants that would die without water, so, I was tired of.
Well, here's the first question I have from a thriver. And this thriver wanted to not be disclosed. See?
Oh,
I want to disclose something before we don't disclose who this guy is.
Okay.
You are an optometrist.
Yes, sir.
You are an owner of multiple companies.
Yes, sir.
You have employed throughout your career. I would say at this point you probably had millions of customers come through your businesses. Millions of customers.
Yes,
would you agree?
I would say.
And you've employed thousands of people, and that is the context for the advice you're going to give this person.
Okay.
And I'm going to summarize what they emailed in today. Because they said they were worried that people who know them would know what they're asking right now. So I'm going to paraphrase. I try to change it up a little bit.
Sure. All right.
They had a person that came to the group interview. Good job, by the way. They're doing the group interview, and it's working nicely, they said. But in the last 2 weeks, they've had a phenomenon happen. See, a phenomenon.
Okay.
They've had a young woman and a young man.
Okay.
Who I don't know their ages. I just talked to them on the phone briefly, but I guess the people are kind of in their maybe middle-aged folks who they're supposed to start working, let's say, on Monday. But Monday comes and they text the boss, "Hey, boss, I can't be there. I hate to do this on my first day, but I'm sick." And this continues, and they haven't been to work yet, and they've been sick, or they've had a family emergency or an issue. So they never have actually come to work yet, right? But they sent via text, "I can't come to work because I'm sick." Work with me, though. Think about the awkwardness of this.
All right.
Then it happened again with another person. So both a male and a female over a period of what it sounds like 2 or 3 weeks. They've hired somebody, and then that person has text, "I can't come to work today. I'm sick. I'm so sorry." And they keep doing this. So they actually have never worked yet.
Okay.
And they're wanting to know, can I call them and say, "Hey, it's not working out," when it's a medical reason? Because obviously the person can't come to work, they're saying, because it's a medical issue. One of them is they say they have anxiety. And they have have a prescription for something. They're getting it treated right now. They can't come to work because they're dealing with this anxiety issue. The other one has some sort of sickness. So I guess the question is, if you agree to hire someone, Z, today, and they can't come to work tomorrow because they're sick, and then they can't come to work the next day because they're sick, and the next day because they're sick, can you just let them know, "Hey, it's not working out," before they even start?
Absolutely. You can let them know. I'm assuming this person's in Oklahoma.
I promised I wouldn't say anything.
Okay, well, if they are in an at-will state and they do not...
I just somehow in a reverse psychology sort of way indicated they are in Oklahoma. Let me say this. No, they are not. They are anywhere but Oklahoma.
Well, wherever they are, if you're in an at-will state, in other words, that's a definition. You can kind of look that up and peruse that at your leisure. But if it's an at-will state and they do not have a written agreement with them, now I'm not a I'm not an attorney.
You're not
I'm
an attorney.
Not an employment attorney.
Nor are you a gynecologist.
But I can tell you this: you do not have you never have to be held hostage by an employee. You know, the worst case scenario is they might get unemployment on you. No big deal. Worst case scenario, they might fuss a little bit to an attorney who, if he took up their charge, would be very surprising. But the bottom line is, no matter what happens on the back end, you've got to do what's best for your business. And what's best for your business is getting some employees. Obviously, you're looking to hire, so you needed some help. And so you need to get that position filled by a competent person that actually wants to show up to work.
Okay, now.
Clay, how many times have you shown up to work sick?
Never.
100?
Actually, never.
I mean, I've seen you down Dayquil.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's
I
going
mean, I have
out
shown
of-
up when I'm sick, but I've never, I guess, not shown up because I was sick. So I have
That's
shown up
what
to
I'm
work,
saying.
yeah.
I know. How many times have you shown up and you're sick? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Me too. I used to lay in an exam room and throw up, and then they'd say, you got a patient loaded, and I'd wipe off, brush my face. Brush my face, brush my teeth.
I'd
wash
slap
off
my face and brush my face and put on a hat.
And I would go in and see the patient, and I'd go back into my office and continue throwing up, So it's kind of like sometimes in life, I don't know how sick that person is. You don't need to know. The fact that they're not coming into work it tells you all you need to know, and you need some of them to come into work. So you do not have to be held hostage. Tell them it's just not working out. Hire somebody else and get them in there and get them going.
Can you look at this real quick? I want to see Jeff Hornacek shooting free throws real quick. This is Jeff Hornacek shooting free throws. And let me see. What he would do is he would do this thing. I hope I can find a clip. There it is. Where he would pet his face. Is this what you were talking about here? Brushing his face. Would you do? Look at this right here.
Yes, I highly endorse that.
He did it for every shot. I guess it was his way to say hi to his kids or something.
Well, there's probably some tactile reinforcement there. There's a study came out, and I don't know if you noticed it though in the NBA. When a guy's taking a free throw, whether he makes it or misses, the other 4 teammates are supposed to walk up and have a physical touch with him. And by doing that,
the bond,
it's some kind of bond, a team bond, and they've done the research on it. And one guy figured it out, probably Phil Jackson. He figures everything.
Probably
out,
Phil
right?
Jackson, yeah.
He probably figures it
Most
out.
likely.
Or Popovich, one of those two guys.
Papa Jackson.
Papa Jackson, yeah. their illegitimate son. But they
real quick now.
That's not right.
Because he is not a gynecologist, we can't explain how that was possible for the two to have illegitimate.
But be that as it may.
As it may.
And that may be on that same line of a guy touching his face before he takes a free throw. I've never seen that before. Okay, we got Clay off kilter now.
I was on the highway headed toward north to Chicago. I ended up in Florida, and now I'm talking about gynecology and mating Phil Jackson and Popovich.
Holy cow!
I don't know how it happened. These things just happen.
This is the natural flow of the show.
Aren't you glad you don't have to understand everything that goes on in our world?
I'm so glad.
I mean, I am so tickled about that.
Oh my god!
People ask me deep questions about stuff, and I go, I have no idea. And in fact, I don't want to have an idea.
I love that you and I share the desire not to know what we don't need to know.
Exactly.
Real quick, I want to ask you this next question that you don't need to know before Josh gets into his real question. This is a faux question.
Oh.
But it is a question that it is a real
practice question.
People ask this question a lot, but it's faux, and like you and I don't care. But let's kind of establish this. Okay. Z, you own a bank. You've invested in a bank.
Yes.
With a bunch of dudes and some ladies into a bank called Regent Bank.
Correct.
Formerly the Bank of Nowata.
First National Bank of Nowata.
First National Bank of Nowata, where we love kids, America, and strong grass. So the First National Bank of Nowata, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
now Regent.
You were pitched by one Mr. Sean Copeland.
Yes.
When he was at Grand Bank, he said, "Hey, you want to deposit money in my bank?" And you said,
"You want some money, young man?"
Hey, no, but why don't we buy a bank? Am I correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So hey, why don't we buy a bank?
Let's go get one.
Now you understand when you bought a bank, you bought something that is chartered, that is guaranteed by the Federal Reserve. Are you aware of this, sir?
If said hoops are jumped through correctly, that is correct. And one of the reasons why I broke my rule of thumb, rule of thumb is this: I don't invest in businesses unless I have some control over those businesses.
Right.
Too many times I've been burned in the past where I had a friend of mine who had a great idea to do a
thing
XYZ, and I invested some money and it went belly up.
Belly up.
Belly up.
Up with
And
the belly.
Up with the belly. It didn't do very well. And so I said, from that point on, I said, well, I'm not going to invest unless I can control it. Not that I'm a control freak, but I know that if it fails and it's on me, I can feel better about it than having somebody else fail. So, but I knew that a bank was so regulated, so highly regulated, that it would be something that I could be a minority and not have to worry about it being overseen correctly. So, and plus the guy that was in charge of it, the head of it, sharp dude.
Great 3-point shot.
Great three. I don't know. Did he touch his face when he was taking his?
I don't know. I just know that Sean is a man who's in his mid-40s who hugs like he's a 21-year-old baller at the University of something.
He does give a good man hug.
He does a great hug, great high five. The whole exchange is beautiful. It's like Reggie Miller.
It's like he's on the court all the time.
Seriously. Now, this is what happens is that the Federal Reserve insures the deposits up to $250,000. Am I correct? Okay.
Correct.
Now, the Federal Reserve is not controlled entirely by the federal government, so it's not really federal, and there really isn't an actual reserve of gold somewhere.
Well, there is, but we're off the gold standard. I mean, we still have a big chunk of gold, in case you didn't know.
So but one could argue it's not 100% federal, and there's really not
a reserve to cover the assets. You're right. Yes.
So it's a fiat currency we have where we, by decree, we trust the currency.
Yes, by decree, hear ye, oh, hear ye.
And I'm just saying there are some people I have met who couldn't handle the idea that they're putting their money out of bank. I had one young lady about 3 weeks ago that came to me and she said, I was reading the one it was online, it's on YouTube. They have this video about the truth about the Federal Reserve.
Oh, my.
And she says, do you know that banks, like when you deposit, like if you go in there with $40,000 of actual cash and you deposit it, that might be more than they have on hand at any given time. And I'm going, oh, yeah. And she says, but how can it be a bank if they don't have money there? I'm like, oh, it's numbers in a machine, and it's all backed up by the FDIC. And she could not move on. See, she's like, I cannot deposit money in the bank if I know that they don't keep the cash there. I can't do it.
I wonder, most banks, I mean, 40,000, I would think most banks would have at least that. I mean, people come in and make cash withdrawals.
Somebody told her when you go into the bank, and you ask for, hey, I want $30,000 of cash. They say, hey, we got to go get that. You know what I mean? Here you go. You can do a cashier's check or whatever. But we got to go, get money from A to B. A bank doesn't have $600 million of cash sitting there in the vault.
No, none that I know of. I'm not saying that there couldn't be one,
but I'm saying that's the kind of thing that you don't concern yourself with.
No, there's a lot of things I concern myself with, and that is on the list of I do not concern myself.
You never worry that the Federal Reserve is not entirely federal and that there might not be that much actual cash in every bank in America?
No.
You don't worry about that?
No.
When you write a check to the bank for $1 million deposit, you don't go in there every couple of days and go, excuse me. Do you have a sucker? And can I get $1 million of cash? I just want to see it. You don't do that?
No, I don't.
But Josh, you've met people like this.
Yes, absolutely.
Or do they obsess about political things they cannot control?
Uh-huh.
So, Josh, you're a pragmatic entrepreneur guy.
Yes.
You have a viable business. And Z, this week, check this out. He was on Good Morning America. Did you know this?
Good Morning America.
Did you know this?
No, I did not.
He was on Good Morning America.
Josh doesn't tell me anything anymore.
He has been in...
It's like I don't even know you anymore.
This week, he's been in People magazine.
Wow.
He has been in Fox News.
Oh, I heard about that. The billboards about his wife.
Yeah, yes, so let me pull it up real quick here. Z, I'm going to hit play on the video. You can see this. Watch this. Here we go. I'm hitting play. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Okay, let me...
Well, I guess it wasn't bringing in any revenue.
Let me restart. Here we go.
So far, story's normal. Well, I guess it wasn't bringing in any revenue, so he changed the messaging on the boards to write love messages to his wife, Amy.
Oh.
Now, I know what might be running through your head ran through all of ours. What'd you do, dude?
True.
So we were a little skeptical, but when you actually hear him, I think he sounds legit. Take a look.
I decided I wanted to tell the world and tell my wife how much I loved her in front of everybody. She tolerates me and lets me build this little company and lets us have fun. And so it's the least I could do is to tell her I love her.
Z, we have a celebrity on the show today right now.
Well, of course we do.
Look at their Strahan. There he is. It's really happened. So he's here now with us. How is it possible? It's because he's a pragmatic dude who he's getting stuff done. Z. He's buying billboards. He's not thinking about it. He's actually doing it.
And I love that about it. Being proactive. And you know what? You may have gotten more juice off of that billboard telling your wife you loved her than stop dragging your hoses around, right?
So the reason we switched it to precisely that, Dr. Z, was we were getting no response off the other ads. So
I'm not going to say I told you so, but
you did. Y'all actually did tell me so.
We did. But it's fun that you went the direction you did, and that actually stimulated more, publicity.
Absolutely.
I.e. marketing. In a very positive way. That's awesome. Well done, Josh.
Like I always say, if you find yourself dragging your hose around, tell your wife you love her on a billboard.
Stop dragging your hose.
There's a book about that.
Okay. Wow. Well, so, Josh, what's your question?
To kind of circle back, first of all, you started the show with, and we appreciate the work, Dr. Zoellner. Thank you for the kind words. Glad we could work for you, and glad we could exceed your expectations. And then a recap for Andrew, who just came in. So, Andrew, we started the show with a question about terminating somebody who wasn't working. And just to let you know, that went to Papa Jackson, the illegitimate child of Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson. So if you ever want to know who Papa Jackson is, just a real quick recap.
An illegitimate love child. The two greatest NBA coaches
Never
of all time.
meant to be love child. Okay. Born in poverty, love child.
But my question for you, Dr. Zoellner, would be, we were on employee reviews. So I'd asked you off the show, but to get it on here on the air. So how often do you do employee reviews? How long are you sitting down with your staff? How often are you evaluating your staff, sir?
Well, I normally have my managers or my supervisors do that. I do it at the doctor level, and I do that on a yearly basis, roughly. Some of the guys have been with me so long. I mean, it's a pass in the hallway.
I have audio of your last sit down with Boat.
Okay.
Can I cue it up here? It might sound like me just
Did you-
talking right now, but this is what it is. It might sound like it's from a CB, but just work with me on this. It's,
Okay.
Dr. Zoellner, you want to see me? Yeah, Boat. I'm calling in here via CB, and good job. Don't go changing. See ya.
I mean, that's about what it is. Boat's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And, it's a high five in the hallway. What up? Hey, what's up?
That's the
What's
annual
up? What's up?
evaluation,
Yeah.
right?
How you doing?
How you
doing? How you doing?
He's been bringing the Boat to Z-Town for how long?
Oh, he's been with me 25, 26 years. So some employees that have been around for so long, It's funny, one time I sat down with, but I think the last raise I gave him, he looked at me and I looked at him and I said, "How much did I pay you?" I had no idea. I mean, I had an idea. I didn't know the exact amount. And he told me, I go, "Really, that much?" He goes, "Yeah, you must have been thinking about the time before last." But I think my supervisors try to do that on a 6-month to yearly basis. Just depends. You have some people need it more, and it's kind of a time suck for the most part, because if they're doing well, they know that, and you know that, and you tell them that almost every day. I mean, it's kind of a great job. So when you're around them,
How good of a great job am I doing?
yeah, when you're around your staff and you see them doing good things, edify them, lift them up, encourage them, let them know that, let them know you see that. One of my favorite little super moves that I like to do is that whenever I am around an employee that I'm not around very often, and I've heard good things about them, I'll let them know that, and they'll be like, "Really?" And I'll say, "Yeah." They're almost surprised, and I'll say, "Yeah, I've heard great things about you. Thanks for all the hard work you do. Really appreciate it. What can I do for you today?" Because they've approached you to talk about something. So, I don't know why it is, but so many of us we're so starved for affirmation, we have a hard time giving it out. In other words, we want someone to come pat our back. We want someone to come pat your back and say, "Josh, you're doing great with Living Waters, man. You're growing your business. You're telling your wife you love her on billboards, man. You're killing it. You're rocking it. Well done." And so we all, there's a part of us that wants it. Some want it more than others.
Sure.
And whenever you find one of your employees that their love language is words of encouragement, then I would encourage you to give them words of encouragement. And so therefore, as far as the breakdown of, it's at least minimum of a year. Some people need it more often. And so your supervisors and my managers kind of have a free-flowing, there's not like a set, on this day at 1600 hour, you must, so.
And I want to make sure the listeners get this. What happens with Dr. Zoellner Enterprises, Industries, etc., is the managers are very competent, and on a daily basis, they're giving you that 1-minute manager feedback. So if you make a mistake today, they tell you about it today. If you made a mistake tomorrow. They'll tell you about it tomorrow. They don't wait for the quarterly the quarterly review.
Take all these notes and
They don't do that. They give it to you right when it happens. So there's that real time. That's called the 1 Minute Manager. That's the book everyone should read. 1 Minute Manager. Chet Cadjo, who's the head of Quick Trip, the billion-dollar company, said the number one business book to read, Clay Clark, is the 1 Minute Manager. Give people real-time feedback. That's what you do. Now, if you want to get into corporate BS, which I did at one time because I was a young guy and I didn't know what to do with 40, 50 employees, I got these books written by management theorists, and they said, when you hire somebody, meet them quarterly and give them a review. And so I thought, well, since this guy's never had employees, I should probably listen to what he says. He has a lot of degrees. And so, but no, this is where it got weird. Is that if I hired you, Josh, your quarterly is in 12 weeks from now. I hired Z 4 weeks later. His is 12 weeks from then. So every day now I'm getting these alerts coming in on Outlook.
Oh, yeah.
Going, it's time for the quarterly with Andrew.
It's time for the quarterly.
I don't even know who Andrew is because I just hired him 8 weeks ago. And I'm like, what? So I'm sitting down with people who I don't even know going, well, this quarter, or I would say managers, I want you to follow up quarterly. You give them the feedback. So then it became National Piss Your Employees Off Day. So your manager who's had no grievance with you for 12 months is looking for some feedback. So they look at their notes from like 6 weeks ago and they're like, Carl, your phone time has really been down. That was 6 weeks ago. I mean, so it's only sincere if the notes are updated daily, which then you end up doing what? Entering notes daily. So I would just say, give your people daily affirmations. And I have audio I was able to get. This was Dr. Z. He's frowned upon me. We actually wrote me up today for this, that real-time feedback.
Oh, yeah.
We were getting ready to record, and you said, hey, Tiger, don't ever mic my room again. And I'm like, hey, I will try to remember.
I've told you that so many times. I can't believe that you would even.
But this is the audio that I was able to get. And Andrew, you brought it to me. If I say brought it to me, you didn't grab it or really, you weren't involved with it. But he's a good fall guy.
Well, he's a good fall guy, and he also apparently knows how to hide mics really well.
Okay, so I'm going to cue it up. Whoa. And Zeke, please explain to me what this performance review is all about and who was talking, what this was about. I'll cue it up here.
Sure.
Let me get it. It's going to take a minute to build into it. It's weird you're playing this tranquil.
I deserve good things. I am entitled to my share of happiness. I refuse to beat myself up. I am an attractive person. I am fun to be.
Now, this was like you did not know we were miking at this point.
Oh, no.
And you were just talking into the mirror.
I was evaluating myself. This is self-evaluation.
You were doing a self-evaluation.
I do this quarterly.
Okay,
yeah.
let me keep playing.
This is quarterly.
Quarterly, I believe.
I hadn't opened the door yet. This is
with
Daily Affirmation with Stuart Smalley.
Is that your rap name, Stuart Smalley?
No, that's my code name for daily affirmation.
Okay, let me cue it up here. Let me keep playing.
Stuart Smalley is a caring nurturer, a member of.
Are you narrating your own thing here, or who's this talking?
Yeah, I can do different voices.
Several 12-step programs, but not a licensed therapist.
I'm going to do a terrific show today, and I'm going to help people because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
It doesn't sound like you, but at the same time, I understand that you believe in these affirmations.
Well, sometimes those mics are a little bit off, and so they kind of change the.
Yeah,
probably hadn't cleaned
the lower quality mics.
Lower quality mics, and could have had a dirty Fitzer valve on there.
Fitzer, yep.
Yeah, Fitzer valve.
Oh, now, Zia, you know what? We have 3 more questions in from great thrivers out there, but to put a capstone on this particular question, we'll make sure we're just recapping so all the listeners understand this idea. 1, if you agree to hire someone and they don't show up, you would say, yes, you can fire an employee before they start.
Correct.
Okay. 2nd is how often should you be giving your employees feedback? You would say have your managers do it daily. And then quarterly, if you want to be Captain Proactive, Captain Corporate Compliance, Captain, fine. But now if you put in there quarterly, take accurate notes.
Well, here's the deal. Whenever you're going to do reviews, I would say get everybody on the same schedule. So let's say whenever they got hired, if you want to do reviews, I mean, pick a slow month in your business. It's okay, we're going to do reviews in June of every year. So if for you, it could be 3 months after you're hired, could be almost a year, but it's going to be within a year. So you try to do those reviews in a time that's good for your team, not because they said, you know what, I've been here now 3 months. Of course, you're crazy busy. You've lost 2 employees. You're just, everything's going haywire. You need all hands on deck, and they're throwing a fit because they want to get evaluated, which is code for. You know what? You know when an employee comes up and doesn't want to get evaluated. You know what they're really asking you?
Can I get a raise?
I speak employee. Yes.
Can I get a raise?
May I get a raise? Yes.
Every single time.
Every single time.
I have audio of this is an employee who said, "Can I be evaluated?" And the statement that was made right before this episode was no. So the employee walks in, door opens. Dr. Zoellner, can I get evaluated? And Dr. Z couldn't say no, so we can reenact it, the theatrical.
Oh.
Can I be? Can I? Dr. Z, I hate to interrupt you, there, boss, but can I be evaluated?
That's going to happen in June of next year.
So no.
No.
Suck my white ball.
Wait, what did he say? I didn't. What was his response?
I want to see a draft by 60 seconds.
See, I don't remember.
Oh, it's I was going to say I don't think I've seen that. It's an Adam Sandler movie, of course.
I'll have to do some editing as a consequence of that. But you have seen people freak out, haven't you?
Of course.
Have you really?
Yes.
How often? What was the last time? Give us one that's far enough in the past. The last time where somebody absolutely lost their mind, where you're going, oh man, that it was like how was it 10 years ago? Give us a story 15 years ago where somebody just because the listeners out there are going through this, and this is the reason why we ask this is you're not going through this alone. We've done this.
Well, here's how you keep from having the freak out, because you don't say no. You say, here's the plan. Here's when we do it. Here's when we're going to do it, and we'll get you scheduled to do it then. Then they're happy because they know it's coming. If you just said, no, I don't have a plan, then you get the freak out. And the first few times when you're in business and someone comes up and says that to you, and you say no without the plan, then you get the freak out. Then you get the bad attitude. You get they're going to go find a dog to kick. Then, they're going to try to punch a hole in the wall because they're upset because they don't feel like you care about them. They don't feel like they're valued, and they want that affirmation, and you've got to understand that, and you've got to be willing to give it to them. In life, whenever you're successful, Clay, Josh, Andrew, when you're successful, people are attracted to that, and they want some of that mojo. When they come around you, and they almost feel like they're energy vampires, or they're those people that are wanting to suck some of that out of you. And so sometimes you put up these walls to keep people away because you don't want negative people coming around you and Eorin and this and this is bad. And, can you help? Why are you so happy? I'm so sad. Kind of attitude, right? So you normally insulate yourself as you go through life. But one thing you have to understand is your employees, the people you're paying money to do a job to help you move the ball down the field, this category of people, you have to be open to them, and you have to understand that you've got to give them some of that love every now and then. You've got to step out of your comfort zone, talk to them in a way that encourages and edifies them, lifts them up, makes them feel better, give them a little bit of that energy, a little bit of that joy that you have, and it goes a long ways. And so many times they're like, oh man, all my employees just want to, you come in with a positive attitude, you come in with a big smile on your face, you come in happy, even though you've got reasons not to
Everything that you said is true. And on top of that, though, you also want to limit people's access to you. So it's a weird thing. When you come in, you bring the positivity, you bring in the energy, but you don't let people have unlimited access to you because over time, familiarity breeds contempt.
It does, but in the proper measure, it goes a long ways.
I'm going to cue up audio, what it sounds like.
Oh, no.
And again, I might have to edit it. This is when you have to reprimand an employee that you haven't spoken to.
Oh, no.
Since the last quarterly review.
It's just me actually on film again.
This is you talking to him. This is back in the day when you were like 20. When did you start your optometry?
25.
Clinic? When you were 25. This is when you were 25. You hadn't talked to a guy for a quarter, and you were into quarterly reviews. And this is what I'm going to cue the audio. Just let it happen.
Yo, Bob.
Tom
was
East
board
Coast name.
Meeting this past week, and after going over the board, we were kind of looking at your evaluation. And well, to tell you the truth, you're just not cutting it. We're gonna have to let you go. Oh, Tom, what am I gonna do? What about the mortgage? What about the children's college fund?
Now, Z, this is what happens when you blindside people. You can't wait a quarter and then go in and say the board and I were talking and it's time to let you go. Because now we're talking about the mortgage.
I like this.
The Becky
nefarious board. This board.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Though?
yeah.
You have to let you, because then you do blindside people. Then they have all these other issues. When you see an issue, write people up right away. Talk to them about it right away. If you're into write-ups, write them up. If you're not into write-ups, reprimand right away. Fix it.
Right
away.
Right. I don't encourage write-ups, the physical writing of it.
Documented
personally.
on the tablet with a chisel.
But I do think that's important that they know when you see them doing something they're not supposed to, you talk to them. When you see them doing things they're supposed to, you thank them or encourage them or say, well done. It goes a long ways. And here again, everybody out there, grab the book, The Minute Manager. Great book.
1 Minute Manager, baby.
1 Minute Manager.
We've had the author of the book, 1 Minute Manager, on the show. And again, if you're out there, you're going, gosh, I want to become an effective manager. This book, 1 Minute Manager, is super easy to read. I bet you it takes, I'm going to say 2 hours to read it. It's by Ken Blanchard.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 hours. It's not a big one, yeah. A great book. Z, I appreciate you answering the questions from the Thrivers. And we have another question from a Thriver that just got emailed in. We're going to answer that next. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.